When we strap on those truths of salvation, we walk confidently through life. We know that the Lord is orchestrating our lives. You know, it's amazing when someone has been empowered by someone to do something, you see a little spring in their step, especially if they really think the person can stand behind them, and they just are so bold and they go. And that's what we have with all of life. We walk confidently through life with a boldness that we don't have to, it's not taking some course. It's not getting a higher view of ourselves. It's getting a higher view of God that makes us, by His Spirit, have this bold confidence in life. When our steps are guided by God, our pathway is illumined. That's what gives us confidence. All of a sudden, His Word becomes a lamp to our feet. It illumines our feet, and it becomes a light that shows us the path. And we can boldly, confidently walk the way that God is directing. That's just a byproduct of this peace relationship. How does it happen? Well, it's our good shepherd leading and protecting us. We know that we belong to Him. We're firmly strapped on the gospel of preparation, the gospel of peace. We know that we're in His family, that He's a good shepherd that gave His life for us. And we are protected by Him. And that firmly planted in the truth of our salvation gives us peace. Because before salvation, we were like the rest of the wicked. Isaiah 57:20 says, the wicked are like the restless sea. There's no peace for them. They're like waves crashing on the rocks. And when we were wicked, lost, and unsaved, we live restless and tossed lives. The sad thing is when you see believers living restless and tossed lives with no boldness, no confidence, no assurance. Next time, we're going to talk about how do believers get there? But this time, what are we supposed to have? We're not supposed to be tossed and endlessly dashed upon every circumstance along the shores of life. Rather, we are saved by God, and God gives us. It's part of the package. When we get saved, one of the things that deploys in our life that is actuated by the work of regeneration is peace. And it's not just peace for a moment. It's incomprehensible peace that keeps His quietness and assurance overflowing every day of our lives. That's Isaiah 32:17. It says that, oh, that you had hearkened unto me, then should your peace have been like a river. What's a river? It's not a puddle. It's a river. It's a moving body of water. It's not a pond. It's water that's coming and going, and it's just flowing by us. And He says, my peace is flowing by you, and if you're not experiencing it, it's because either you've never jumped in, you've never been saved, or you crawled out. And you are no longer heeding the commands of God that bring peace. So Isaiah 32:17 reminds us of that. Well, the burning question for each of us this morning then is, do I have the peace of God at work in my life today? So how do we know if we have the peace of God? Well, number one, that peace is a byproduct of salvation. If you don't have that peace, the first thing to check is, am I saved? Not did someone tell me I'm saved, but do I know that I've passed from death unto life? That I've been transferred from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of His dear Son? That I have called on the name of the Lord and believed in my heart that God the Father raised Him from the dead? Then I'm saved. It's not something I do, it's something He did. Has He done it? The peace I'm talking about is a byproduct of salvation. That peace comes only to those who have humbly cried out to the Lord for His salvation. That peace comes only to those believing on Christ as their only hope. That peace comes only to those who have repented of their own way. Remember, when we were born into the devil's family, all we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to our own way. And so I was born that way, wanting my way restlessly, and I have to be born again into that new way, that way of peace. That peace comes only to those who have come by faith to follow Him. And when I follow Him, the Prince of Peace, in His wake is the peace that passes understanding. I remember once when I was at Grace Community Church, and they assigned me to take 96 people on a cruise. 96 retired people. I had more trouble keeping track of them all over that huge boat. You know, one of the Nordums or whatever it was, one of those big ocean liners. And I remember being on the back once after I had them all put to bed about 7 o'clock. And Bonnie and I were standing on the back of the ship. It was the most beautiful sight. the phytoplankton, or whatever it's called, the luminescent plankton, made a green trail in the dark behind the boat. And I thought, when we follow Christ, we're in this wake of his peace, this peace that is incomprehensible to us. It comes from him.